And if you can't, we do have a microphone. So, yeah.
Oh, so we can slide the paper over there.
You want to slide over here? Why don't you? That's nice.
That's
Can you hear
it.
me?
Yep.
Yeah? Loud? Can you hear me?
I'll try. I'll put my hearing aid on if I need to.
So, the people in water, is it there in the machine or?
There's a machine right up here.
Maybe they have cups so we can get water. You don't know about the
Okay, there's a swimming champ here, but good point, we'll put water in the sun. I'm so glad I talked, well, I called you up this, isn't it? So I really thought this was.
in my pickup, but it's in a water bottle. Really sturdy plastic bottle. And probably wouldn't go with that.
You can put some duct tape over that, label.
It's distinctive shape. So, yeah. In a bag, maybe.
Paper bag.
Yeah. Oh, this is too bad, guys, like, the park's over there to pick up his daughter, should be in here. You look at, go sit in Starbucks in Fred Meyer and watch all the people, that come up, so, it's a disabled person sitting in the passenger seat, so legitimate need for accessibility, right? Do they go in the shop? No. Their daughter does. And so it's just a handy, come mom, I don't want to have to.
You ready?
Yeah.
100 feet further away.
You guys ready?
We're ready.
You ready? Mm-hmm. Sorry, cut you off. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of times for the room to share. So, alrighty.
Working?
Let's do a quick sound test too. Can you just talk a little bit so we can see if they can hear on the cameras? Can you guys hear?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Is that a camera?
It is, yes.
Oh,
It's a little.
little guy,
We're all high tech today.
I guess.
Where's the camera?
Right there? Okay. Go ahead and get started and let me know if it's not loud.
Yeah. Well, now your clicky thing doesn't want to connect.
No. I have to hit the
So
button
Robin is
instead.
here.
Hit the button instead, I guess.
Is it,
Is
it turned on? There we go.
Excuse us for a moment while we.
technical difficulties?
Alright, so accessibility in the outdoors. So my name is Taylor, and I am an avid outdoor adventurer, and I'm also an accessibility consultant. So I help businesses make their operations more accessible, and then also I am very much an outdoor enthusiast, and yeah. So today we'll be learning about what is the connection between access and nature. Let's explore together. So the connection between access and nature is that access to green spaces, I'm sure you all know, both enhance your physical and your mental well-being. Everyone, irrespective of their abilities, should have the opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. When we have greater access to the outdoors, it fosters a wider appreciation for environmental conservation, as well as just being aware of climate change and all those things to better yourselves in nature. So first I'll be talking about from a personal standpoint about how the outdoors can be accessible, or some of the ways that I've made the outdoors accessible for myself. So I do have a lived experience with disability, and I myself am a day hiker, and I also do nature photography, as well as I participate in 5K walks. Mind you, I do not do races, as I am the slow and steady, wins the race type of person. So just a little bit about me from a more, again, a personal standpoint. Like I said, I do have a lived experience of disability. On the left, you'll see an image of an x-ray. That is my x-ray. So I was born with a condition where my mother had caught chicken pox when she was pregnant with me. And what had happened is it transferred to me when I was in the womb. And that led to a lifetime of series of various disabilities, primarily physical. I have scoliosis, I have a pacemaker. My father says I can basically buy out Home Depot with the amount of hardware I have. And so what that means is that it did pose quite a few physical challenges that I had, which made accessing nature and the outdoors definitely an obstacle. But as you see on the image on the right, a photo of my mother and I when I was very young, it didn't stop me from being in nature. I was exposed to nature from a very young age. At age 4, as you see in this image here, I had a little walking stick, and whenever there's a will, there's a way. And so I've always been open to finding new ways to access nature, even if you can't, be Lance Armstrong or something like that. So some of the aids that I use to make my time in the outdoors accessible. I brought some items here with us today to sort of show you, a real life experience of what that looks like. So some of the things that I use are, and I'll see if I can get this in the camera here too, but I use walking sticks, and a lot of times you'll see these in hiking stores or outdoor stores like REI or Dick's Sporting Goods or things like that. But these are really helpful because they provide me with, it's almost like, it is like a cane, provides me with a little bit more stability whenever I'm going on trails or I'm going on uneven surfaces and things like that. It is also adjustable, which is really nice. So you can make it as tall or as short as you want it. And as you can tell, I'm not very far from the ground. So having a walking stick that is adjustable is really handy for me. Some other things that I have in my little go bag here. This is my hiking go bag. I take this everywhere with me. I keep it in my car. And also, as you can see, it just has one strap that I put crossbody me. That way the weight is distributed across my body and I'm not carrying those big hiking backpacks. So some other things I have a protein supplemental drink, protein shake. I always am making sure that I have something with a lot of nutrition, has a lot of vitamins, things like that. This one in particular is called Boost. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but I always got a little protein drink on hand. I also have a protein bar. This one is Kashi, and I have some dietary needs that I have, and so having a protein bar that is also something that I can have because I am gluten-free. And so, again, protein bar, protein shake. Always got a first aid kit on me. You never know if you're gonna have a little tumble and you gotta, fix your scrapes. And then ever since post-COVID and things like that, I always keep masks and some sanitizing wipes. Again, when I'm hiking or traveling and I'm in an area that has a lot of people, you just never know, so it's always nice to have these on hand. And then I have a first aid kit for my car. So you never know where you're gonna be or if you need something. So that's just a little captured of some of the things that I use to make my time in the outdoors more accessible. For those of you who are here in person, are there some things that you use to help you make being in the outdoors easier?
I always think carrying a cell phone is a good idea, but so many places they don't work.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, cell phone is a good answer. Yeah, and it does depend where you are and things like that. I do try to choose trails that are closer to reception. Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of the newer cell phones now have a feature that if you press 911, it goes to Starlink. And so otherwise inaccessible. Normally downrange is going to be like possible that you'll be able to call for help, and you hear of people in really remote places being able to reach a connection to get some help for just emergencies.
Yeah, great. Go ahead.
One thing as a Parks and Recreation employee that I'm trying to advocate for is good signage at trailheads. And so like things like elevation gain, what sort of, or even on the website before you get there, what is there seating along the way? How far is the trail? If there's somebody that has mobility issues, knowing these things beforehand, very helpful. I have a friend that I go with that, we went to this trail and there was a waterfall at the end. We're like, oh, that's cool. We get there and there's no information.
Yeah.
So we start walking and she gets tired and then she's like, well, you just go ahead. And I was like, you sure? She's like, okay. So I go and there was no way she could have made it because I was crawling in her logs and, there was just, so having that information so that she did not feel bad about herself for not being able to make it through no fault of her own, is good information that people like us can help provide. So.
Good.
When I walk now, I make sure someone's with me because I'm not stable with so because I've got my
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, I personally always have somebody with me when I go hiking or any type of outdoors, because like you had mentioned, when you're by yourself and you have your own different needs, again, doesn't matter what they are, but if you have different needs, it can be a bit of a scary thing to go by yourself. So,
one issue that I have is I hate carrying things. Backpack is great, but it's a water issue.
Yeah.
Water is heavy.
So some of the things that I use sometimes, and this depends on the trail, is, and I don't have it with me today, unfortunately, but I use a walker that has like a bag in it and a little seat. And so when you use something like that, then you don't have to carry a bag. You can put your items in the sack that it has, and it has, because it has a seat. If you get tired or something like that, then you have a seat with you.
I know when I was at, this is a few years ago, G.I. Joe's, they had packets of water, and they never expire because they're in these little hot cellophane foil pouches. Like this, you have some of those? Yeah. Yeah. But as far as the water.
Yes, go ahead.
You mentioned labeling of the trails. I have a problem with somebody labeling the trail easy. It's not easy. You need walking sticks.
So it's funny you say that because we're going to learn more about that as we continue. So very good points you all made. So, and thank you for sharing. So again, my own real life experience, day hiking. This photo here is of Drift Creek Falls. Not the most accessible, but also not the least accessible. Again, I had somebody with me that helped me along, but I went up to the point where it was accessible. Unfortunately, there were some parts where I wasn't able to access, but I got a nice photo. So Jenny, like you had mentioned, and others, this is a photo of Prairie Creek Trail. This is actually in California, but I've seen these in Oregon as well, where there is an ADA accessible section, and it does point out what the trail length is of the accessible part. So it's not the entire trail, but it is the accessible part. It does show, that what the elevation grade is, what is the width, what is the type of surface. And so a lot of times, again, not all trails are going to have this, but, most, or, those that do, they can tell you, some of the information about the trail before you enter. And again, later on in this presentation, I'll show you some resources of how to find these trails so that when you go there, you're not surprised in any way. So this was one particular place that I've been to, Nesquin Proposal Rock. Raise your hand if you guys know where that, familiar with that. Yeah. So just sort of raise your hands if you think it is an accessible place to get to. Yes or no?
I was working on properties there, so I don't really know anything about the trail.
Okay.
It's got an elevation change and it's got water in between, so I wouldn't think it would be.
What do you think,
I
Jen?
haven't actually been down there. I know where it is, but I haven't been down there, so.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, I've been down there, and was I able to access it? It's a little debatable. This photo here, it was 25-mile-per-hour winds, it was raining, my entire jacket was soaked. Not a good time, no. I'm trying to not get blown over by the wind. And definitely not accessible. Imagine trying to go down that staircase that you see in the photo with your own disability, whatever that might be, mobility challenges, anything like that, while it's 25-mile-per-hour winds and it's raining and it's foggy and etc. And if you can see the that handlebar there, it's not really a handlebar, it's rope that is put together with sticks that are nailed down, or I guess drilled into the concrete there. So definitely not accessible.
Well, they got there by somebody just messing with it, pulling it while their parents watched.
Nobody claimed that was accessible, did they?
No, but I'm just showing I'm showing an example of some places that maybe some of us would hike because they're well known, and just sort of showing, hey, this may be a well known place, but definitely not accessible. Another really famous spot that I've been to myself, but others know, is Otter Rock. As you can see, it's a beautiful area, beautiful beach down there. This is more located up in Depot Bay area, or just before you get to Depot Bay. Raise of hands, do you think it's accessible getting down there, yes or no?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a lot of rock.
Okay.
We'll go up there every day, yeah.
What do you think, no? Yes or no, is it accessible? Or easy to get to?
I would not say so.
Okay. So you would be correct, it is not accessible. Again, these are two different, it takes two different staircases to get down there. And I didn't know that when I went there initially. And fortunately, I had someone with me, but it took me about a good half hour. I don't even know how long actually it took me, but it was not a fun time. Yeah.
Would a staircase ever be considered accessible?
No, because the reason why is because not everybody has the ability to go up and down stairs, even if you are ambulatory like myself and others. So even though I can take stairs, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. So for me, I would not consider it accessible. Usually accessible means that which I'll show here soon, that everyone can access it, no matter their ability. So this trail here, this is on Little Whale Cove in Depot Bay, this would be considered accessible. Because as you can see, the path is very smooth, it's flat, It even has a bit of a guardrail for when you're close to the edge. Again, there's no big cracks or anything like that. And so that's why it would be considered accessible. So again, continuing on a real life experience, because there are trails that are accessible, I'm able to access areas where I can take really great nature photography. You know, without having access to nature, then I wouldn't be able to take some of these photos. This photo, I believe, is of Mount Shasta. I was not in Shasta itself, but I was near a nature preserve that you could see Shasta in the distance. So these are just some examples of some photographs that I took while out in nature, accessibly. Some of these are from Drift Creek Falls. Again, part of the area that is accessible. Some of these are down in Siletz. Another one was up in Lincoln City. So again, just sort of the power of having accessible spaces. Again, I wouldn't be able to take these photos if I didn't have access to an accessible trail. So another way that I access the outdoors in a way that fits my needs is our 5K walks. Again, like I said earlier, I am not a race walker. I'm not going to beat a time, but I do participate in a way that I might not be able to run in a competition, but I at least can walk a certain distance, and I treat these walks just like somebody is training for a marathon. You know, go ahead.
Do they let you start early, or do they make you wait till everybody else is gone?
So typically when you're doing a walk, they start at a different time.
Yeah.
So the runners start first, and then the walkers start last. And that's not trying to be discriminatory or anything, it's just
Safety.
safety, exactly. Because they don't want you to get stampede on when a marathon of people are running, you know. So, so what I'll show here is this is a captured moment of when I did what's called the 4-mile stride at the famous Portland Shamrock Run. So they have their own. A lot of times when you're doing a walk, they actually have their own course track so that it is safe and you're staying on paved roads. And again, a lot of these 4K walks, it does include wheelchairs and walkers and canes and those of us who, you know, take a little bit longer to get by. And it's just another way to still participate in something like that, but again, in a way that, you know, fits your needs, whatever they are. So moving on from personal to professional, I am an accessibility consultant, and the logo that you see there is my business that I have. And what I do is I tailor the accessibility needs of businesses. So I help businesses with making their events and fundraisers more ADA friendly. Actually, Jenny knows me from my work there. I helped with an event here at the rec center back in September, making that event accessible. But I also am a resource connector, so I like connecting resources with people, and I'm a disability rights advocate. So some community initiatives that I've participated in to help advocate for and promote is this program called David's Chair. And what it is it's an accessible sort of way of getting either on a trail or getting down to the beach. But it is a very robust chair that literally can go over any terrain. I mean, like literally any terrain. And you can.
How much would one cost you?
So actually it's free to use, and you actually reserve it with the city of Newport or other cities that participate. And you just go, you go on the city website and you can reserve it, and they have them at different locations, you know, at different beaches and state parks that you can reserve it.
We have one here.
Yeah, and they have one here too, yeah.
How would you get it from here to where you need to go?
So ours is at the Don and Ann Davis Park, and you can reserve it and you take it down the trail that goes past the Vietnam Memorial, and you take it on the beach there right in front of the night turnaround. So they also have a trailer rental program. Some people take them hunting, so you can rent a trailer and take them wherever.
So
But a lot of cities on the
Is
coast are getting.
that, vehicle, is that allowing to cross over the rocks that are over the GP Alpha line? Is that,
Down at the bottom of the hill there?
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
and our parks guys go down and they kind of try to keep it, but it's like a tank, and it's got like the track wheels on it and.
Okay.
So I'll show you a video here, and thank you, Jenny, for your input.
How long is that deal on incline?
So as you can see here, I actually took a test drive of it myself. So you can see in this video how robust it is. And again, I take it all the way, this is at Don Davis Park in Newport, just like what Jenny was mentioning. And so as you can see, it has giant wheels. And you can take it down to the beach, and I was able to actually climb over some rocks that was there at the bottom, where it goes from the pavement to the beach itself. And again, it goes over that sand like nobody's business. It's amazing.
Is it operated with 2 joysticks or how?
It has. So one of them is a handlebar,
Oh,
and the other one is. So let me go back here. Can you see?
on the
So
left looks like a
It
hand.
has a laser pointer in the middle.
it does.
We have to point it at the wall.
I have to point at the wall. Excuse me, as I point to the wall. So if you see here, this is just a handle. So that is like literally just a little joystick post that you hold on to for stability. And then, here, pardon me. And then here is the actual joystick. And then what it also has is, again, depending on your needs or your ability to be upright in a chair or whatever that case is for you or someone else, it has a seatbelt for you to stay. Trust me, you need that seatbelt. And then it also has a sort of a seatbelt for your legs as well. I personally didn't need that, but others may need that. And then in the back here, you can see there's also a little joystick here in the back, so that those who who can't joystick or move it themselves, another person can move it for them. And then also, these little wheels here, there's little wheels in the back that it can't tip over. Like it literally cannot tip over. I tried.
You can't go forward, tipping over either? It looks more like a forward tip over possibility.
Well, actually, it has mechanisms here on the front that keep it from tipping over that way as well. And so it has little shocks here in the back where when you're going over big terrains or rocks and things like that, it actually moves with the shape of the rock so that it doesn't tip over. Yeah, definitely a wild experience.
All right.
Is the one here used a lot? Does it sit more than it's used?
I don't think it's used a whole lot, and I think it's only, right now, it's only on certain days that they're reserving it. So we have a link on our website, on the parks page, and then you actually have to reserve it through the David's Chair website, and then they notify us, and then we make sure someone's available to get it out. And you may talk about this, but you can also, one other thing it does is it can stand you up. So if you want to be head height with whoever you're with, it will stand you up too.
So yeah, as you can see right there, can I pause this? Stop. No, don't do that. Sorry, hold on one moment.
I'd be afraid of standing or even sitting on a steep incline.
Yes,
After $100 then you get a license, and they let you out your own.
So I actually did have that experience where I was upright in it. And it was a little shocking, shall I say, yeah. Again, as you can see, I mean, I had the full experience there, and it's a really amazing tool that those of us who can't climb over rocks or get to beaches the same way, especially if there's an obstacle, it's a great tool that we can use.
Well, I'm just afraid of falling, so I couldn't even use that.
The best way I can describe it is you feel like you're falling, but you're not. Because it's literally built to withstand any type of angle, terrain. It's meant to lock you in there and to be as safe as possible.
Oh, the motion lights are going off.
We're not moving enough, okay?
So some other thank you. So some other places that are that I like to sort of connect as a resource is our Oregon State parks and beaches. Obviously, other states have their own sort of accessibility with different places like Washington and California, but and I've been to Washington and I've lived in California, and I've recently have been living here in Oregon for about 4 years now, and Oregon does a great job of making their spaces really accessible. Again, an example is South Beach State Park, and here you can see that obviously South Beach State Parks and others have yurts that are available, and they're very much accessible. You can have an accessible parking space there, and in the image on the right here, that is wheelchair accessible right there, and it even has like a little handicap or accessible blue space, as I like to call them. And then on the left here, you'll see this is the interior of a yurt. I actually stayed in this one on the left. You can see my little dog there. And it's fully wheelchair accessible, or if you have a mobility scooter or a walker or anything like that. And as you can see, there are two different sleeping arrangements for those that can't obviously climb up on the bunk bed there. They have a futon, and then they have the lower bed, which is wheelchair accessible. So if you need to transfer yourself from a chair, or if you're using a walker and you can't, access very easily, it's very easy to get up and in and out of that bed. It also
How far the bed off the ground?
They're pretty short.
they're very short.
Sometimes that's
Well,
harder to get off of.
that's why there's two. So there is a futon that is a little bit higher, and then the bed that is a little bit lower depending on your needs. And then the table here is also wheelchair accessible. It also has chairs that you can pull out as well if you rather use a chair instead. And then, as you can see, the sort of patio area here is very much easy for people to get to. And there's here on the side here, there's a picnic table. And another area that is well known and is accessible is Taft Beach in Lincoln City. Lincoln City Beach is also very accessible, but this is just one of the examples that I've been to and have experienced myself. And one of the things that it does have are these tools, or these, I guess, mats that are called Moby mats. And Moby mats are these, I guess, what would you describe them as? They're kind of
Hard woven plastic, I guess?
Yeah, it's almost like putting like a giant, I don't want to say tarp, because tarp is not the right word, but almost sort of like an access,
Woven mat.
yeah, like a woven mat that you put on the beach and you connect it to the parking lot, and you literally, and they're huge and they're super long, and you just connect them all the way down to the beach. And what those do is you literally can drive anything. You can have your walker, you can literally walk with a cane or a stick, or your wheelchair, and you can get to the beach and comfortably get to the beach. Again, here on the right, again, another David's chair type device is also available, and are able to access, get it onto the beach through those Moby mats, and then access the water that way. They also have what are called beach chairs, which go in the water as well.
We have one of those too, the ones with the big fat wheels you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, we have one of those that are available to borrow. If you want one of those.
So that way, those who can't obviously access the beach as readily as everybody else now has a way to get down there.
Those ones you gotta push yourself though.
Yes. So again, the David's chair, the reason why I'm showing this one in particular is because these are operable on your own. Whereas beach chairs, typically you have to have somebody with you in order to operate it. So just some resources of organizations and those that maybe you would want to look into about being accessible in the outdoors. This organization here is called Birdability. And what they are is they're an organization that, again, as they say in their mission statement, sharing the joys of birding with people who have disabilities and to ensure birding is accessible for everybody. So they provide tours and trips and sort of access to trails and areas that you can do birding, but in a way where, you know, you don't have to go down to the jungle or fly to some remote island in the middle of, you know, wherever. You know, they find areas within, you know, where you live. They have some in Oregon, and they have different chapters in different states and places where, you know, they set it up. They find that accessible trail, that area, and then they take you on tours that are wheelchair friendly, mobility friendly. Those who have visual challenges or things, they'll have audio that they'll play where you can hear the birds and find out what each bird is. If you have hearing impairments, they'll have devices that will help you as well. It's really quite an amazing organization. So if those of you who are interested in birding, I recommend that. My grandmother was a long-time birder, and so she actually kind of got me interested in that. So another resource is this organization called Disabled Hikers. They're very popular on social media and things, but what they have done is they've created a literal guide of different trails and either accessible by car, wheelchair, or on foot of all these different trails in outdoor areas in Western Washington and Oregon. So they've also expanded and they now have different guides for different areas. They recently just have one for Northern California, and then they also have one for Idaho, and I know it's Idaho, but they may have one for Montana. I don't know, don't quote me on that. But what this does is it's kind of what we were talking about earlier about when you go to a trail or an area and you're not sure whether it's accessible or not. This is a really good guide to sort of that tells you all that information that you need. What the elevation is it actually accessible? What type of accessibility is it? Like, is it just for walkers? Is it just for wheelchairs, etc.? And everything you need to know. Again, adventures accessible by car, wheelchair, and even by foot.
Not Oregon.
I'm sorry?
You said not Oregon.
It is Oregon, yeah. Western Washington and Oregon. Yes. It's all right. Again, if you need me to speak up, please tell me and I'll do my best. Another resource that this is a resource that I use personally all the time, and it's actually an app called All Trails. And they have a website as well, and what it is it's an app on your phone that it literally points out, you can type in what trail you want, and it gives you a whole sort of map. This is an example. I literally just typed in accessible trail, and it came up with a literal map of what that trail looks like, where the parking is. It even has some photos so that you can see what that trail looks like in real time. And what this shows you is it shows you the area of this trail that is accessible. So that way, when you get to a trail or something, you're not surprised when, oh wait, I thought this trail was supposed to be easy to access, and then it's not.
What is the definition of what's accessible?
So the definition, that's a really good question. So, and I will actually show you here. So the definition would be if something is wheelchair friendly, paved, or stroller friendly, and it is walkable, or even partially paved. So it's basically anything where somebody that has either a mobility challenge or needs sort of
How about the slope?
the slope as well. Yes, the slope does matter. So as long as it's not sort of, it's not like a 45-degree angle or anything like that. It has a very small elevation grade. So that way, as the slope is not steep.
And that may be subject to interpretation, but.
So like actually a good example, let me go back here for a moment. So as you can see here, so it says the trail length is 1.2 miles and the typical grade is 3%. So that's an example of what an accessible trail would look like.
I don't know what a 3% grade
It's
looks
really
like.
general.
It's very, very small. It's as if you're walking up the hill to a parking lot.
45 is like that.
Correct.
So 3% is gonna be,
Yeah.
like that.
So the trails I'm thinking of that are supposed to be handicap accessible would never even come close to that grade.
Yeah.
So I don't think they should be naming them accessible or easy.
Point of view.
So this would be an example of would be an accessible trail. Again, because it gives a type of surface, which here it says sort of a paved surface, and then the length, which is 1.2 miles, which is the typical length of an accessible trail. Usually it's in a loop instead of a continuous route. And then obviously the grade is very small, and also the width. You want the width to be really wide, because if you have a chair or if you have somebody with you, you want to be able to walk next to the person that you're with. You don't want to have to walk single file if the whole point is to have somebody with you, right? And so it gives a wide berth to have somebody with you and a chair if you happen to use one, or if you happen to use some other aid of some sort, or if you have a visual impairment and you use a guide dog. That's another reason why they do that as well. So it's not just physical, but there's also different types of, accessibility needs where having a trail like this would be beneficial. Again, and that's why, going back here to the resources that I had pointed out, like Disabled Hikers and this guide in their website, it has all that information there. So it tells you what the elevation grade is. It tells you how long that trail is and what to look out for. It tells you what type of accessibility it is, as it says, is it accessible by car or by a wheelchair, or those who have even visual impairments and things like that. Can you bring your dog if you have a guide dog or something like that?
So does
Walker
it,
has to have big wheels or
Big wheels are kind of
get by
just
with little wheels.
exactly, yes.
so does it lists even trails that aren't accessible or only the trails that are accessible?
I believe it is only trails that are
That would make
accessible.
sense, yeah.
Lots of guidebooks out there for any trail.
Yeah,
Exactly. So this particular guidebook is specifically for accessible trails. Whereas I'm sure you're familiar with, a lot of guidebooks it's a little bit of everything, where this one does primarily focus on accessible trails. And all trails, this app and also their website software, again, like I was showing you, if you choose stroller friendly or wheelchair friendly or paved or any of these filters, if you click on those, it will show you only the trails that are wheelchair friendly, or only the
I'd like to
trails.
look up a trail that people claim is easy and accessible that is not. Because I know of a few of those.
Well, the nice thing about all trails is if their software has been vetted to include accessibility. So you could type in a trail in there and it will tell you if it truly is accessible or not.
Yeah.
I've actually done that with some of the trails that I've done in the past. You know, I've done, as I showed you, I've done Drift Creek Falls, and to me, I would have thought, maybe because parts of it are accessible, but all trails said it
It's
wasn't.
all that it is.
Exactly, and so all trails, because of their software and the ways that they really do confirm whether a trail is accessible or not, it said that it wasn't because of those reasons, like you said.
Is it free or is it?
It is free, correct. It is a free resource, and again, it's an app, and it has a website as well. And you can, so like with this image here, I just, what's called taking like a screenshot of your phone, or you can take a photo of it on your computer, and you can also, it has an offline version as well. So if you're in an area that doesn't have service, which a lot of trails don't, you can have it on the offline mode and you can still have access to it. Again, by using these filters here, you just click on wheelchair friendly or paved, and it will give you all those trails that are accessible. And it also will tell you what the grade is of the pathway and how long the trail is and what part of it is accessible. And it will tell you like how, like time, like how long it typically takes someone to take that trail. Yes.
You've done Valley of the Giants?
I have, yes.
And how's that? It's been so long, I really can't picture the trail.
I would
can
say it's
picture the
debatable.
valley,
I would say it's debatable. I would definitely do your research. Again, actually, the Disabled Hikers actually has a guide for Northern California, so you might be able to actually find it in there, possibly.
Valley of the Giants I'm talking about is up the slats.
Oh, sleds, yes. I'm sorry. Then I would type it, I would do some research. I think there's some parts that are accessible, but then there's others that are definitely not.
Okay.
So I would definitely do your research. I don't want to claim anything without, you know.
And then the road itself, is it accessible as far as being able to get there or not, and that depends on if they're hauling
Yes.
or not.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't claim it accessible because again, there's some parts that are, others that are not. So.
What a thing to see though. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh,
If you can, if one is able to access it, it is a beautiful area. But again, I would kind of, with caution, do your research before going there. Yes. So how can you help make the outdoors more accessible? So some of the ways you can make a difference is you can advocate for change. So some of you mentioned that you go to a trail and it says it is accessible, but it's not. You know, feel free to let, you know, the state parks know, or even yes, go ahead.
My thought was, you know, with the weather we have here,
Yes.
there's quite a possibility the trails could get damaged. What we could do is take a picture of it so that it makes it easy for people to, the funds are low and they don't always have the money to leave the whole trail. If they know a specific part of it and where it is, they're more likely to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good answer. Yes. So for those of you who didn't hear what she said, she was saying you can take a photo of the trail if it's weather is damaged it, and then send that to the state parks or to the Parks and Rec that help with maintaining those trails and can notify people when that is the case.
And sometimes it's just a tree that's fallen down from
Right.
last night's
Yeah.
storm, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you always get someone and friends to go. They can have a party and especially
Yeah.
prepare the trail. I think that would probably be a
Yeah.
nice thing to do too.
Yeah, exactly. So another way is to obviously be inclusive. So if you're thinking of other people to bring with you, you know, think about, okay, maybe my friend is coming with me, but they have different needs than my own. What does that look like? And if you're thinking about, others when you're trying to make sure that a trail is accessible or not, and you're pointing that out. And then also sharing knowledge. You know, if you have knowledge of a trail that needs work, or have knowledge of tools or different things that could help somebody or help, others access a trail or make their outdoor experience better, feel free to share that.
Got a little trash bag in there?
I do. Yes. Yes. Always have a trash bag or a little grabber. I have one of those as well. So that, because you never know if there's trash on the trail. You have to pick up.
Design a hole with the grabber.
Yes.
I had one.
What?
I had a cane with a grabber.
That'd be cool.
So are there any
Amazon.
other ideas of maybe how you can help the outdoors be more accessible?
How many people have seriously advocated for anything?
Oh,
Called your senator, called your representative, called your city council, whatever.
Talk to my
It's,
Parks and Rec director. Talk to my Parks and Rec director.
It has repeatedly amazed me of how effective a person can be, and sometimes one person saying one thing that either to the right person or the right person might be somebody that passes it to the right person. And I have gotten things done that really surprised the heck out of me that it happened so fast,
Yeah.
and other things.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Any other suggestions? Okay. So again, like I said, you can make a difference. When you advocate for change, you be more inclusive, and you share knowledge.
A lot of times people that don't have disabilities don't even think about how it could be for someone with disabilities. It doesn't cross their mind. And they're not being cruel or anything, they just probably never come across someone who has disabilities.
Right? Correct.
And so they don't, it's not in their mind.
Before you experience it yourself, even though you might notice it, it's different when you're the one going through the trying to maneuver.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Help someone else try to do it, then suddenly you won't be able to.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be somebody who has a specific disability. It can be, from getting older as well, and your body changes. Our bodies are always going to change no matter what age we are. And so, you still want to be able to be outside and be in the outdoors just because, I'm sure.
There's that wonderful hike that, I think it starts at Bear Park area here in Brook, but it's a wooden walk through the marsh and it goes under the freeway or under the highway and then leads you out into the big parking lot, and then beyond that is the ocean access. And there's like 10,000 miles of salt sand.
Oh, yeah.
The Ocean Bay Trail?
Is that what it is? And that's a
What is it?
beach trail.
Well,
The
Yes.
Agate one? Yeah.
I love that.
That's part of our Ocean Bay Trail. So it starts at Agate Beach Wayside, and there are a couple of boardwalks. So it's about between Agate Beach and Big Creek Park. It's almost a mile, and then we can continue. So that one's pretty accessible because it's flat.
Until you get up to the sand.
Yeah, till you get to the sand if you want to go on the beach.
Yeah.
But then it continues, and it goes through Forest Park, which goes up the hill, which is not very accessible because it's steep. And then it continues on the city streets, which we will eventually mark, and then it comes down on the bayfront, and it ends at Abbey Street Pier. So it's about 4 miles altogether.
Where's it start? That beach?
It's between Abbey Street Pier and Agate Beach Wayside, it's the whole thing. But the nice part of it is we call it the Agate Beach leg, which is between Agate Beach Wayside and Big Creek Park. So you can park at either end, and it's, one way, so you gotta go out and back.
Well, there's a trail there?
Yeah.
There's a tunnel that goes under 101.
And it's a lovely trail. I love the green that's marked.
That's
Oh, I don't know
where
about that.
that's where we do some of our walks. So we have a woods walk in February you can sign up for that you'll
I
learn
know the
about
Agate Beach, I don't know
the
about
winter,
that.
the winter foraging, not foraging, but winter foliage out there.
So do you have any little cards or brochures?
I will, yes. Do I have?
But I was just
I have information, yes.
Okay.
So again, as sort of to tie this all together, nature is obviously for all of us, for everyone. Nature belongs to us all, and together we can ensure that the great outdoors is a place where everyone feels welcome and included.
Thanks, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll all be much more.
So if you like, I have information there. Unfortunately, I do not have, but Jenny has my information that she can share with you all as well. And do you guys have any questions or would like for me to touch further on?
Just will be a lot more aware of things now.
I'm sorry?
What you've told us will make us much more aware.
Yeah.
And plus, it's getting older, we're becoming aware of our own limitations that we didn't have before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, I like to say that accessibility is not just for those with particular needs, but it's for anybody, no matter what your need is. Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you so
Hopefully we'll see you
much.
next